Missed by 8 inches, authored by Lionel de Souza. This is one such tale, a saga of two friends from a remote Indian town, whose journey takes them far beyond the familiar, into the very heart of a war zone, managing the facilities of the U.S. Army in war zones. The narrative centers around the tragic demise of one friend, with the other wrongfully accused of leading him into the war zone, resulting in his untimely death and being unjustly labeled. This is not just a story of loss and accusation, but a testament to the unyielding strength of friendship. It is about the kind of bond that endures the harshest of realities, supports and uplifts even in the face of adversity. This tale is a tribute to the moments of solidarity, the laughter shared in brief respites from danger, and the memories that become lifelines in the darkest of times. It is dedicated to all those who work in war zones without any weapons to defend themselves, to the army contractors who sacrifice their lives to the tough jobs at the war base, holding their hearts on a thread. It is for those unsung warriors, whose stories of valor and sacrifice often go untold. In the pages that follow, you will journey with these two friends through the trials and tribulations of war, witness the strength of their bond, and feel the weight of their sacrifices. This is their story, a story of friendship, courage, and the indomitable human spirit. Please watch the previous chapters to help better understand Chapter 5. A brief recap of Chapter 1 cricket match introduces the narrator and his 6 Indian colleagues working in Saudi Arabia. A cricket match in no man's land sets the tone for camaraderie, cultural clashes, and the narrator's bond with childhood friend Andrew. A brief recap of Chapter 2 First Time, Pact Broken. A flashback to school days in India. The narrator and Andrew plan a prank that goes wrong. Andrew breaks their pact, foreshadowing future betrayals and the complexity of their friendship. A brief recap of Chapter 3 Entry to Saudi Arabia. The narrator's chaotic first entry into Saudi Arabia, including a customs ordeal involving religious items and pork. He's helped by a kind customs officer, Mark G., highlighting themes of fear, faith, and unexpected kindness. A brief recap of Chapter 4 Second Time, Pact Broken. The narrator helps Andrew get a job in Saudi Arabia, again risking his own finances. A flashback to a prank gone wrong shows Andrew abandoning him, reinforcing the recurring theme of broken trust. A brief recap of Chapter 5 Brothers in Arms. A tense encounter with a Saudi Mutawa priest turns into a moment of unexpected hospitality. The narrator and his friends are treated as brothers, challenging stereotypes and deepening the theme of cross-cultural respect. A brief recap of Chapter 6 New Directions to Life. The narrator is offered a job in Kuwait supporting the Australian Defence Force. He transitions from civilian life to working in a war zone, marking a pivotal shift in his career and identity. We are now moving to Chapter 7, titled Routine Commenced from Missed by 8 Inches, authored by Lionel de Souza. Sleep eluded me that night, so I rose early, disturbed by the loud snores filling the barack. At 0400 hours, I began my day, donning my coverall and braving the biting cold outside. The chill was piercing, but as I entered the cafeteria, the warmth from the heaters gave comfort. Being new, I joined the breakfast queue, where others had also gathered for their morning meal. The breakfast counter offered eggs, toast, fruits, juice, and a choice of tea or coffee. I collected my meal quietly and took a seat at a table close to the counter. Shortly after, I noticed Richard entering the cafeteria. I stood to greet him, and he approached, shaking my hand. He commented that I looked sharp, but suggested I needed a haircut. With a grin, he encouraged me to sit while he went to get his breakfast. Once he returned, tray filled, he sat across from me. His keen sense of observation was evident. His first question was about my lack of sleep, to which I responded with a smile, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of the new place. Our conversation then turned to personal matters. Richard shared about his family, revealing he was British, married to a Vietnamese woman, and due to unresolved taxes, he had no plans to return to the UK. He mentioned his daughter, who was 7 years old and living with a family in Vietnam. Richard led me to a trailer which served as his office and gestured towards a seat, declaring it mine. It was a simple setup: a table, chair, a desk phone, and a walkie-talkie. I settled into my new spot. Richard mentioned that by the end of the day, I would receive a laptop, which sparked my excitement. He then outlined the scope of our work. We handle the complete engineering maintenance of the camp, providing lighting, heating, and various facility support to the ADF. Our services extend to housekeeping and hospitality. We ensure the provision of basic amenities, including toothbrushes, toothpaste, drinking water, and beverages like coffee and tea. A cafeteria services are offered through a subcontractor. The separate pathology department is responsible for the dignified preparation of deceased bodies, which are cleaned, dressed, embalmed, and sent back to their point of origin. We oversee the base's control tower operations, scheduling all incoming and outgoing flights. The maintenance of the runway, keeping it clear of sand and debris, falls under our purview. We manage the loading and unloading of cargo planes, as well as the preparation of manifests for inbound and outbound flights. A vehicle's cleaning, both interior and exterior, is also part of our duties. He then detailed the shift timings. The first shift begins at 0600 HRS and concludes at 1800 hours. The second shift commences at 1800 hours and ends at 0600 HRS. I noticed your puzzled look regarding the shift hours, and Richard quickly clarified, we operate on 12-hour shifts and work continuously for 5 weeks. The 6th week is entirely off for rest. The base is supported by a robust team of 450 personnel, comprising both direct employees and contracted staff. This team of support staff ensures the smooth and efficient operation of our base facilities. Richard's parting words left a lasting impression on me. We operate as a team here. There's no distinction between manager and employee. We share responsibilities and duties to ensure an equitable workload. In times of trouble, we support one another and never give up on ourselves. Most importantly, we never let each other down. Richard's words resonated deeply with me. The next was my base orientation. I was given a tour of the 25-acre camp in a truck, traversing from one end to the other across the sandy and muddy terrain, shaped like a rectangle. The journey began at the Ring Main Unit, the camp's electricity incomer, supplied by the Kuwait Electricity Board. It resembled a small substation, where I observed engineering staff replacing transformer oil. A row of 11 Stirling Wilson diesel generators stacked in twos, serving as emergency backups, with 2 generators always running to power the control tower around the clock. The large hangar housing 3 cargo planes, with active loading operations, adjacent to an in-base runway. The runway, maintained spotlessly clean, revealed its black tar surface as the sun rose. A 2 fire trucks stationed beside the planes. The journey continued along the runway, seemingly endless, leading to the control tower with a rotating radar atop a temporary steel structure, equivalent to a 4-story building. Next to the control tower was the sewage treatment plant, with all plumbing lines converging there. The truck then veered towards the residential barracks, home to the ADF troops. Long barracks faced each other, accommodating 5,000 troops at any time, always at full capacity. A smaller set of barracks at the end housed about 900 female soldiers. The cafeteria block an impressive and expansive facility, capable of accommodating up to 500 people at any given time, whether day or night. Although specific meal times are mentioned, the cafeteria ensured that food is available around the clock, 24/7. This allowed troops to enjoy meals and refreshments at their convenience, regardless of the hour. Each barrack incorporated recreation blocks for leisure activities. We completed our circuit of the camp and returned to our starting point. I disembarked from the truck and made my way to Richard's office. There I was introduced to Mark Diaz, a Filipino colleague, who conducted a 2-hour safety induction session. He meticulously covered the do's and don'ts on the base. To conclude, he demonstrated how to operate a fire extinguisher and instilled in me the principle of safety at the base. One of his statements has stayed with me: safety is not just about you, it's also ensuring the safety of others on the base. No matter how critical the situation, never breach any safety protocols. After the safety induction, I was introduced to Abay, a Filipino lady overseeing housekeeping and catering. She was described as tall, slim, and very fair. Abay guided me through the housekeeping procedures and the workings of the cafeteria. Subsequently, I met Ricky, an Australian who briefed me on the engineering protocols and procedures. My orientation concluded at the pathology block with Dr. Nathan, who reassured me with encouraging words. In the beginning, it may seem difficult, but it's easy. We support each other, work as a team, and never give up on one another. So don't worry about anything, and feel free to share any concerns you have. We'll sort it out together. Dr. Nathan was regarded as the unofficial psychologist by the contractors, as he would listen to everyone's problems and offer counseling. As Dr. Nathan was speaking, Neil entered the room and inquired about my day. I shared that I was learning a lot and encountering many new things. Neil, who knew me as a bookkeeper, wasn't surprised and reassured me, "Don't worry, you have great potential and you'll pick up things quickly. Be friendly with everyone and don't isolate yourself." I agreed with a nod. Neil then shook my hand, discussed with Dr. Nathan about a body scheduled for transport today, and departed. My shift routine commenced, and as time flew by, I found myself fully immersed in the camp's operations within 6 months, without taking a single day off as per the duty roster. Even on my supposed days off, I chose to work, becoming familiar with every corner of the camp. The work became a passion, akin to being part of a family where everyone pitched in across departments. An electrician might assist with housekeeping or sweeping the runway when needed. I was rotated through every department, gaining a comprehensive understanding of the work from all angles. A year swiftly passed, and I took a 30-day leave to India. During my holiday, I met Andrew, who had also arrived from Saudi Arabia. I shared with him the realities of life and work, the environment, and the lifestyle in Kuwait. I conveyed that it lacked the luxury of Saudi Arabia and that life was more challenging. I sought his and his family's consent for him to join me in Kuwait, urging him to discuss it with them. I outlined the benefits clearly and emphasized that I did not want to pressure his family into making the move, especially since it involved working in a military operation and the area was a war zone. Andrew's family initially disagreed with the idea of him joining me in Kuwait, but when salary package was revealed his father consented. I had explicitly communicated the risks of working in the war zone to both Andrew and his parents. I had previously spoken with Neil and Richard, who assured me that Andrew's visa would be processed once he was ready. I relayed this information to Andrew, leaving the decision in his hands and advising him to take as much time as needed to make his choice. In my family, there wasn't much concern about where I worked or the nature of my job. Despite my attempts to explain, they showed little interest in the details. My father's focus was on the bank balance, which reassured him of my good earnings. Upon returning to Kuwait after a month, I resumed my duties. The schedule was routine, but my role had evolved significantly. I had become the trusted deputy to Richard and Neil, who relied on me for all major decisions. My confidence had grown under their mentorship, and I was now entrusted with significant responsibilities, including procurements, at the base. Activity in Kuwait was at its zenith. The sounds of gunfire and grenades, the whooshing of land-to-air rocket launchers, and the heavy thuds from the vertical landings of fighter jets had become the regular daily backdrop. Any initial fear had dissipated, replaced by routine. The base felt exceptionally secure and well protected, a testament to the robust safety measures in place. The sight of soldiers with broken bones, missing limbs, and the return of deceased comrades from combat became a common occurrence. While initially unsettling, these scenes gradually became a part of everyday life. During my time with the ADF, I formed enduring friendships with several troopers who became lifelong companions. However, my journey also included moments of profound sorrow, as I experienced the loss of some companions. It was a solemn and heart-wrenching duty to ensure they were respectfully sent back home on their final journey. My life was about to change even more dramatically than it had in Kuwait. By a twist of fate, I found myself becoming a facilities manager in just 18 months. This unexpected turn of events marked a significant shift in my career path. End of Chapter 7. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates on the next chapters. Thank you for listening and subscribing.